thank you for taking the time to be here this evening.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this.
This is going to be really interesting because you said you've been here for 6 years now?
6 years in Tokyo.
6 years in Tokyo.
Never lived here before.
This is your first time living in Japan?
Well, I have lived in Japan before.
Okay, that's right.
But I had never lived in Tokyo.
Okay.
I'm a Kyoto person.
You're from Kyoto?
I'm from Kyoto, yes.
My wife loves Kyoto because we go there every year just to go to the restaurants and the temples.
Yes, what's not loved? What's not there to love? Right?
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I was born there, and I spent my first years there up until I was in first grade.
Okay. Do you have a big family? Do you have siblings?
I have a brother and a sister.
Okay. What's the order?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yes.
How many years after that?
1 year after that, my sister.
Okay.
And then 12 years after that, my brother. So
Okay.
3 of us.
Okay. So tell me, when you grew up here, you left at 1, so there's very little you would remember about Japan, if anything.
No, I was in the first grade.
On the first grade? when you
First
left?
grade. So I do remember a lot of things in a
Okay.
first grader kind of a way.
Tell me, what do you remember? What comes to mind when you think about that time?
New Year's, first grade, in my elementary school. And we were supposed to meet there to celebrate New Year's. And for some reason, I had thought, my teacher said that you could wear your New Year's kimono. And I was so excited. I had my beautiful kimono on. And I was the only one who showed up with a kimono on. Everybody else showed up in their regular school clothes. And you know how, well, at least back then, all the classes lined up in the playground by class, and there I was all by myself in this kimono. I remember I was just mortified, but I do remember that. I remember a lot of things from first grade.
Really? Give me something else.
I had a really strict first grade teacher. She was really scary. I forgot my homework.
Okay.
I forgot my homework, and she says, "Manabe-san, apparently, you know, you're still asleep at the wheel, so go outside and wash your face. Wake yourself up." And this was a really old-fashioned school where all the faucets and sinks were outside the classroom, and you could see, you know, there's a glass, but there's a window, and there were these, you know, these faucets outside where, you know, you washed your hands and everything outside the classroom. And I was marched out there all by myself to wash my face, to wake myself up, and all my classmates were looking. I don't know why, but that's what comes to mind. She was a really scary teacher. You don't find teachers like that anymore, I don't think.
And they said still corporal punishment was still allowed too.
I didn't experience corporate punishment until I went to the States.
But it was still allowed. If you experienced it in the States, they were still doing it in Japan.
I did not.
I'm not saying they didn't do it to you.
I think it's because there was so much shame that, you know, all the kids fell in line. The kids were very well behaved.
Right.
And I think you did not want to be shamed like that.
Right.
But you know what surprised me is when we went to the United States.
Where did you go in the U.S.?
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I remember our first grade teacher that somebody was acting up, and so she had what do you call it? It was this board.
Okay.
To spank people.
A paddle.
A paddle, yes. So she brought out the paddle, and she spanked him. I had never seen anyone being spanked before. I thought it was a very American thing. I had never seen that.
Were you the only Asian in your class? Because you're in Pennsylvania now.
I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania in the 60s, and then I spent a year there, and then we went down to Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I grew up.
Okay.
I grew up, and we were really the only Japanese, Asian family in the neighborhood. So.
You grew up in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, yes.
That's where my mother's side of the family's from. We have a family reunion. We just had our 117th.
Oh my.
Charlotte.
Okay.
And Shelby's right next to it, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Shelby and Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh,
That's really interesting.
nice place to grow up.
Why did your father move from Japan to the States?
Well, there was an American a company that who was very impressed with the research that he was doing. He was a chemical engineer, and so they hired him. They brought and arranged for his family to come along, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was at their Scranton plant for a year, and then there was a new plant that opened in Fayetteville, so we went down there.
So going to the States, you did suffer culture shock by seeing a little boy paddle.
I was surprised. I hadn't seen. I wasn't making any judgment. I would just, it's one of these American things.
Mm-hmm.
There were some new things that I got used to. For example, the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning. That was a very odd thing. And I didn't know any English when I came. And so I learned everything phonetically. I had no idea what I was saying, but every morning was the same. So I kind of picked up the sounds and memorized the sounds. I have no idea exactly what it all meant.
And this didn't bring you and your sister closer together? Because she was having the same issues.
We spent first grade together. They put us in the same class,
right,
because we were just the two of us.
Right.
Yeah. But they were very nice to us. I remember the first day that we went to school, and it was during recess. We were out on the playground, and all the kids came up to us. My sister and me said, "What's your name? What's your name?" And that's the first thing I learned. What's your name?
What's your name?
Yeah, it was very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as you progressed through school, did you find yourself being more academic or more physical?
I was a very good student. Very good student.
After seeing that paddling, I guess you would have been. You didn't want any of that.
Student council,
Well, you're talking what, high school?
Yeah, junior high, high school. Yeah, student council, honor society, and that kind of thing.
Okay. So you're in the top of your class always?
Yes.
Were you always pretty much the minority, the only one?
Yes.
So in your high school, there were not any other Asians? There were a few, maybe?
No, I don't think there were any.
Okay.
I really had to think about it.
All right.
Yeah.
And you're the only Asian there, so...
I was, yeah, pretty much, except for my sister. I really can't think of any other, yeah.
Well, you didn't come across them if they were. That's interesting, especially at that time, because that was a very turbulent time.
Well,
for civil rights.
Yes.
It was turbulent for that, but in your school, everything was hunky-dory, I'm sure.
I think I was too busy with club activities or something.
Of course, it wasn't affecting you.
Yeah.
There weren't enough of you for it to make an issue, to be a problem anyway. So
yes, I guess
they just knew it was you.
Yeah.
So did you get involved in any type of sports while you were there?
Oh, I have no sports ability.
So it was all academics?
Absolutely. I never enjoyed ball sports. I hated recess. I hated it. Nothing to do with a ball, nothing to do with a stick. And hitting a ball with a stick, I was just totally hopeless. I think it's hand-to-eye coordination or something like that. I don't know. But
did you wear glasses as a child?
It wasn't seeing. It was just the coordination.
Oh, the coordination, the timing.
Yeah. I have no athletic ability, but I do have a lot of endurance, and I think I do have discipline. And so I think I'm fine with things like running.
Did you do that while you were in school?
No, I did not do it.
Okay.
I did not do that when I was in school.
Right.
I had kind of written off athletics, I guess, when I was in junior high and high school. But I did enjoy I think I came to appreciate what do you call, maybe not athletics, but physical activity when I went to college, because there were so many other things I could do that was physical. I tried fencing, I tried dancing, I tried sailing, I tried horseback riding. I loved all those things.
When you got into college?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I love all those things. So I wasn't a total, I don't know. I wasn't totally hopeless. There are certain things I'm good at.
Okay.
And,
what subjects did you focus on the most? What subjects did you like the most?
In college?
No, in high school.
Oh, in high school, I think I was very good at biology.
Okay.
And I was selected, and I went to the governor's school in North Carolina. I was very honored to go. And of course, at that time, I thought that I was, pre-med. Of course, that's such a classic thing, right? You're either a pre-med or pre-law, pretty much.
In high school.
Well, that's the what do you call the stereotype of what an Asian parent wants.
Is that what your parents wanted for you?
I think that's what I think my father wanted me to be a doctor.
Okay.
So I tried. I was very good at biology, but that was it. The other things I am not so good at.
Did your mother work?
No, she was a full-time homemaker.
So she worked.
Yes, she worked. Yes.
She's most definitely worked.
Yes, she does.
Right. And the last child was 12 years later was your brother.
Yes.
Right. Are all of your siblings in Japan now? Are they still in the States?
No, they're all in the States.
Mom and dad?
Yes, they're in the States.
They're still in the States?
Yes.
Do they live close together by any chance?
They're in the Philadelphia area.
Okay. All of them?
Yes.
Okay, so they are close.
Yes.
You're the only one that's gotten out.
Well, my sister traveled around a lot, and after my father, my father lived in India for 10 years, and so my family's been around too.
Wait, you mean your father lived in India for 10 years with you?
It was after my sister and I graduated from college.
Okay, so you didn't go with him, of course,
No.
but you got to go visit him.
I visited, which was a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Is your father still working?
No, he's in a retirement community.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Past working, long time ago.
And your mother is with him?
They're in a neighboring community. My father's in skilled care.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But he's okay otherwise?
Yes.
Oh, that's
yes.
good. Do you visit him often, by any chance? Because you're his first daughter.
Yes, I did go during the holidays. His birthday is January 2nd, and New Year's was always a bigger holiday for my family. And up until last year, my mother was still making the osechi with the layered boxes and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's been doing that all the time.
She had been doing that all her married life.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So she made sure she kept Japan in the house.
Yeah, we
no doubt
definitely
about
did
it.
have a Japanese community.
Did she ever speak to you in Japanese?
Oh, all the time.
So she always did. She didn't stop.
My parents would talk to us in Japanese, and then we would talk back in English.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And then during the summers, she would have a dining room table summer school for us, because we were the only Japanese family. There were no Japanese schools, and so she convened a Japanese school during summer vacation. So we learned how to write, learn kanji.
Just the two of you? Just the three of you?
The two of us.
Okay, the two
My
of you.
brother was way too small.
Okay, yes.
Yes. But I'm very glad that she did, because I did learn how to write. I did learn a lot of the kanji.
She did this from what age?
Oh, this was in North Carolina, so yeah, all during grade school and things like that.
And she kept that up. She was just very consistent.
Yeah, she was very good. She made us write in Japanese in our diaries. She made us write in our diaries in Japanese. And we also wrote to our grandparents, yes, in Japanese. So, yeah. It was good. It's all paying off.
Did you get to travel to Japan? Any of that during any of that time?
We visited my grandparents a few times.
Mm-hmm.
We did do that, and then during my junior year abroad, I went to Kyoto for 1 year.
In college?
In college.
Okay.
Yes. Dohshisha University.
Where?
In Kyoto. Dohshisha.
Dohshisha.
Yes. Kyoto.
So what was that like for you?
I loved it. I loved being in Kyoto. And I spent that year, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents.
I bet you did.
Yeah. I loved it.
Did you go back to the school that you went to see it? And
oh yeah, I went to see the whole school, but I did go to Uji recently, and I think they must have. I looked it up in Google Maps. I think it has a different location.
Oh, sorry.
Brand new facilities. They look very nice in Google Maps.
That's so nice. So in college, what did you major in? What did you focus on?
Japanese studies.
But your father wanted you to become a doctor.
Oh, well,
and you
I
said
gave
you
that
tried.
up.
You said you tried. So
I
how
tried.
long did you try?
I tried very hard, but it just couldn't.
What, in high school?
No, in at Wellesley, at college, I tried.
So wait, the first year? What do you mean? Wait.
First year I tried. College is a lot harder than high school. And so I knew that I couldn't.
That wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
What about your sister? Did your father want her to become a doctor as well, or did he not have any?
No, I think she always did something else. So I don't think she ever pursued that. But he got no doctors out of any three of us. So.
But he did want that. And your father's a scientist.
He's a chemical engineer.
Chemical engineer. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh my goodness, that's interesting. So, what did his father do? What made him decide to do that? Your father. I'm just curious.
I think it was to support a family. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he have siblings as well?
In Fukuoka.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's from Fukuoka.
Yes.
Your mother's from Kyoto?
Yes.
Okay. So he came to Kyoto.
Yes.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so in college, you knew you didn't want to become a doctor. You decided to take up Japanese studies. For what purpose?
Because I loved it.
I know, but what were you going to do with it? I mean, didn't you think about that part? I mean, were you going to teach? Were you thinking about teaching or
no, I
coming
really
back to Japan?
didn't think about what I was going to do with it.
Okay.
I really don't think that's the objective of a liberal arts education, which I think is a great thing.
Right. Okay.
You're there to study whatever makes you feel happy and engaged and challenged.
Okay.
That's what's so wonderful about liberal arts.
But
so what do you do with it? I don't know. But it was, I came out of college during the 80s when everyone thought that Japan was going to take over the world. So there were a lot of bilingual jobs. So I took one in New York.
Okay. Doing what?
Working for a trading company first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that go?
I don't know. I did a lot of things where I could use my Japanese. It wasn't great. I did try things like, interpreting and things like that. But I was always on the periphery, providing the language. And I wanted to be in there myself. I wanted to be a professional, being the conversation rather than interpreting what was going on. And then I think eventually, I don't know why I thought it sounded so glamorous.
What?
Being an analyst.
Okay.
A financial analyst. And for some reason, I thought it sounded glamorous. And I was thinking to myself, well, in my mind's eye, what do you think you want to be in so many years? And I imagined myself working in a very tall office building, corner office, in a big city.
Had you picked a city? Was it New York or Chicago or?
No, I hadn't thought about it.
Okay.
I assumed
But
that it would
you'd-
be in New York. I
Okay.
assumed that, but I pretty much got that. You know, I was in a tall building.
When did you get this? When did you get it? Wait,
The
you got it-
financial analyst job?
Yes. So wait, let me run back a little bit. So you get out of school, you finish college, and you started translating.
Among the many things. It was all about, you know, using my bilingual skills.
Okay, right. That's the reason why I was asking, what were you going to do with it? Because you had to support yourself somehow. That's what I'm talking about. How did you financially maintain with that education? How were you going to get enough income? Or where'd you plan on living? Unless your father was saying, here, he's bankrolling you. He wasn't.
No.
Okay.
No, I was on my own. And in
So-
fact, one of the big motivations in going into finance, which I was not interested in when I left college, was that I wanted an apartment of my own. I was tired of having roommates in New York in these tiny little apartments.
Because of your income level.
So I wanted to afford an apartment of my own. And so I looked in the New York Times, in the WANS, that's how you look for a job back then. And so there was an opening for somebody, a financial analyst with bilingual skills, Japanese and English. And so I went out and I tried out for that.
But you knew nothing about, did you know something about finance?
I knew nothing about
Okay, that's
finance.
okay.
But it was my foot in the door, the fact that I was bilingual.
Okay.
And lo and behold, I was one of the first companies that I was on as a financial analyst was for these trading companies. So it's kind of things come in cycles, I think.
Did you find that challenging in the beginning? Because you're learning a brand new jargon. You're having to catch up pretty quick, I'm sure, because they're asking you, this is finance. They want to know what's being said on the other end. And if you don't understand the terminology, you have to go home and study that to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that?
Well, I'm a good student. I study.
Okay.
And I did a lot of homework. And so, you know, I was able to go to these meetings and I would be fine. But I was limited because, you know, I didn't have an MBA, I didn't have any finance background. I had dropped out of my accounting class back in college. And so I knew I didn't have the basics. And so, but I knew that this is something that I wanted to do. I loved what I was doing. So I did go to get my CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst
Did they allow you to
certification.
continue working with them while you did that, or did you have to?
Oh, it's a what you do in the nighttime.
Okay,
on
that's
the
what you
free
did at
time.
nighttime, right?
So-
And did they know you were doing this?
Oh yes.
Okay, so they
And
suggested
it was
this.
encouraged. It was encouraged.
They liked
Yeah.
the fact that your translation was good. However, they wanted you to understand the jargon so that you could really be
They
more.
wanted me to do the work, which is
Exactly.
exactly what I wanted to do.
Oh, that's good.
I wanted to be in the work, not just to be able to interpret the language. And so that's when I started this program. It was tough, you know, because I would have a full days of work, and then I had to study very hard for this. You know, it was finance, economics, accounting, valuations, portfolio management, all kinds of.
So
of
did
things.
you
It
have a
was all
social
new.
life at all?
No, that's all I did. I just studied.
How long did that take before you felt like you got up to speed?
Well, it took me 4 years to get through it. It was very hard. But I'm glad I did it. It was really worth it because it really gave me the skills to move up and to do more in what I wanted to do.
Give me an idea. For example, let's say I was in your position at that time. What was it like for you? What was it that you felt, now I know, so now I can get what I want to get? What was it that you really knew that allowed you to do this? Or was it because of contacts you had?
Oh, for the financial analysis?
Yes.
Well, I think what you need to do is to understand the financial prospects of a company. And so you would need accounting to understand the financial statements. And then you need economics to understand the macro environment that the business is working in. And then that would allow me to do forecasts and projections and then do the analysis. And so sometimes there will be some aspect of valuation. You know, if this company was growing by buying other companies, sometimes they would sell some companies. Are they getting a good price? And then portfolio management, you know, the program allowed me to think about, you know, how, you know, bonds and stocks are valued, you know, why investors buy them, you know, what their why they buy them, why they might sell. And so all that information was very important for me to do the analysis that I was doing.
Mm. What was one of the biggest challenges you had during that time, and how did you overcome it?
I think it was a lot of the soft skills. I think I see that in a lot of the younger staff at work. You work very hard. You have a lot of the quantitative skills. You have a lot of the technical skills, but they don't have the communication skills, and they don't have the soft skills to maneuver in the office. You know. How do you manage up? How do you manage your communication with clients?
If you were to tell these young people, that's good. What advice would you give them so they could learn these skills, these soft skills that are important to be able to move up, to be able to negotiate their salaries or whatever it is they have to do? Mm-hmm. And usually it's salary based. They don't want to stay in the same place.
Right.
What advice would you give them?
I would say, you know, look up from your computer, you know, walk around, get to know your colleagues, get to know your boss, get to know your boss's boss, and understand what's important. You know, things like strategies change, priorities change. Get a sense of that, and then always speak up. I think it's always important to be heard. It's important to be noticed. And it's not enough doing good work, because everybody does good work. You have to stand out somehow.
Mm-hmm. When was the first time you felt that were you always the type of person that would speak up?
No.
Okay.
I was the one in my cubicle, and I was saying, gosh, why did she get promoted? Why did he get promoted? I'm doing all the work. I'm here in my cubicle.
And they kept you there.
No, it was me.
No, but I
did not know that.
Right.
They got promotions because they were talking to people. They understood things. They were speaking up for themselves. I didn't know that.
So how did you?
I don't know. Maybe enough of that, and maybe enough. Maybe I reached a point where I said, well, listen, I'm doing all this work, and so I think I did get to a point where I did speak up. Why am I not getting promoted? Why am I not getting a raise? And so they said, oh, you want a raise? Or you want a promotion? And so if I kept going back, then they say, oh, you're a force to be dealt with.
Excuse me. When you say if you kept going back, you mean if you kept speaking
Reminding
up?
them.
I see.
Reminding them.
Okay. Well, because they would say, "Oh, you want to raise," but they may not do anything.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you bring
So
that point
say
forward
that
again.
I'm interested. I think I'm worth it. I'm bringing all this value. I'm worth it. And so I think this is what I bring to you, and this is what this is what I've been getting since when I was doing this. And so I think proving my value, speaking up, and I think touting my value, I think that's really important. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And
When you say a long time, you mean years?
I would say maybe longer than some others, perhaps.
I get you.
But I think that's what I am. I want to let my juniors know that's really important. These soft skills, you really have to speak up.
I see. So you're saying you're pretty confident that if they're in that environment, first of all, academically, they probably have that set up. But speaking up, especially if they are of the same ethnicity, where the culture tells you don't stick out, sit back, you'll be taken care of, just be like everyone else. But everyone else, like you said, was speaking up and you didn't know it.
That's right. And it's different. And maybe, working here is different. But in the U.S., you really have to speak up. I was in New York, so you really have to speak up. And I was covering my clients were in, finance is very, very male dominated. And most of the businesses that my clients were in were mostly male dominated as well. A lot of my clients were in the oil patch and everything, very macho, and so you really do need to, take up some space. Especially because I'm a small Asian woman, right?
And you did that. Obviously you were able to do that.
Yes, I did. Took some doing though.
Well, see, were you able to, who were your mentors? Who's someone that really you remember that came to your aid that really helped you to do this? You couldn't do this alone, or did you?
Oh, I took I was part of a senior women's leadership program, which was the best thing ever for me. Because I was with, a group of very senior women. And I think that the best part of it was, we had a safe space where we could just kind of be open about things and, share, show your vulnerabilities, uncertainties, and that was a wonderful experience.
That was in New York.
No, it was here. It was very late in my career.
Wait.
It was very late in my career. Yes, but I did pick up things along the way. I did pick up things along the way.
Right. So do you have any mentors you remember in the States prior to coming here?
I had some wonderful sponsors who looked out for me.
Okay.
They were, in positions of influence where I could be put in a position that, stretch roles and stretch projects that would get me noticed with the right people. Yeah. So I could prove my capabilities and let me shine a bit.
Well, the majority of the time were these men?
Oh, they were all men.
All men.
Yes. But they sponsored me. They looked out for me, and they would they helped me. They helped me read the organization, and whether or not they're male or female, I don't think it matters if there's a professional connection. I think being all male does influence the culture and the air in the room, but there are some very special professional connections that I value that really help me, and I'm very thankful for those. Yeah.
So tell me about the area that you just recently got involved in with the women's group that you lit up about, the senior women.
Oh yes,
Where
well
you-
that,
'cause that-
that's done. That's done. It was for a limited time.
Oh, limited time.
Yes, but it was wonderful, and
Was it?
I got to meet women from all over the world, and then
Was
you
it
know,
just one-time meeting, or was it something you did,
over the course of the year?
of course, over a year?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. A lot of late, Zoom meetings and things like that. But that was really special.
So what are you doing now?
What I'm doing now, I'm
Are you-
doing what I was just doing before I came here.
I mean, do you work? Do you have a job that you
Yes.
go to?
Yes,
Okay.
the same job that the same company that I applied to initially with the New York Times want ad. I came here 6 years ago to head up the corporate finance team in their Tokyo office. So that's why I came.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
So you're going to be here for a long period of time, do you think? Would you like to
I
be?
hope so. I
Okay.
hope so. I became a club governor last fall.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really very excited, but I'm also very cognizant of a very important role because I'm, whatever we do as a board is for the membership as a whole. So a lot of responsibilities, and so I hope to do a good job as a member of the board.
Yes, I'm sure
Yeah.
you will. If you can magically go back in time and meet the younger Mihoko, what time would you go back to, and what advice would you give her, knowing what you know now?
Gosh, I love my journey. It's made what I am today. There are some easy roads and rough patches, but it made me what I am today. And I met some wonderful people along the way. So I really can't say that I would go back. I can't.
That's a good answer. That's a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
Mihoko, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank all of you for watching this podcast. Make sure you press like and subscribe. And never forget, it's all unknown, so continue to reach for the stars because you're too blessed to be stressed.